Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In my previous video, I mentioned briefly about the introduction to basic sketch, and I also mentioned that in my next video, I'm going to show you guys how to draft your basic sketch pattern. So let's get to work, guys. I've got my craft paper, my pattern master, my pencil, and my eraser. Or if you have any French curve, it's fine. So the measurements, I'm going to be using them in centimeters. That is, the waist measurement is 75 cm plus 2. That is for ease allowance. Divided by 4 plus 3 cm that. So that's going to be 22.25. I'm going to measure 22.25 from point 0, which is the starting point. 22.25. Then the hip depth. I'm going to measure 22 cm. It's general for any body size. 22 cm as my hip depth. On this line is where I'm going to take the hip measurement. The hip measurement in centimeter is 104 plus 2 cm for ease allowance divided by 4. And that is 26.5. 26.5. Then with my pattern master, I'm going to draw a straight line connecting the adjusted measurements. The length I'm working with is 24 inches for the skirt length. So I'm going to measure that from the starting line, which is my point 0. I'm going to measure 24 inches. And I'm going to roll across. My hip measurement is 26.5 in cm. I'm also going to take that measurement at the length of the skirt. I'm going to measure 26.5. I'm going to connect a straight line. Then with my pattern master, I'm going to adjust any sharp curve or sharp edge I'm having. Then from the hemline, because it's a pencil skirt, I'm going to come in by 2 inches from the hemline. Come in by 2 inches and connect it back to the hip line. So I'm not making use of this. This is what I need. This is the skirt pattern. The front, which is going to be on fold. Then for the darts, I'm going to tell you guys how to calculate the darts. You can either use 7.5 for a medium person, 7 to 7.5 inches for a small person, rather medium size, 8 inches, large size 9 or thereabout, but I'm going to be using 7 inches for this person. Or if you're not sure of how to take the dart measurement, you can use the bust span, which we also know as nipple to nipple. So I'm going to use half of it, which is 3.5, and the dart length is going to be 11 cm. 11 cm. So I'm going to measure 1.5, share it equally. 1.5 cm, which gives me a total of 3 cm for the dart. I'm going to connect it right here. Then, if it's going to be a low waist skirt, from the point 0, the starting line, can come down ½ inch or 1 inch or 0.75, depending on the size of the tummy. You come down and connect it back to the waist measurement line. But for this pattern, it's not going to be necessary. So this is the front basic skirt pattern. Then for the back, it's exactly going to be the same thing, but we are going to have 1 inch for the zip allowance. And if we want to put a slit, we can use 3 inches if we're going to use a vent slit. But if it's the normal slit that is just open, we could still use the zip allowance and fold it in. So I'll just briefly show you guys how to use the front pattern to cut out the back. So with my scissors, I'm going to cut out my front pattern. So this is our starting line. When we're cutting, it's going to be on fold. As for the back, we are going to use the same front pattern. I'm just going to cut the exact shape. This is going to be our zip allowance, 1 inch. So I can either use 7 inches as my slit length or 8 inches, depends on individual's choice. But here I'm going to be working with 7. And do not forget, the sewing allowance and the hem allowance is not added to the pattern. So you're going to add that to your fabric. So I'm going to measure 7 inches. and I'm going to measure 2 inches. Two inches together with the zip allowance, that's 3 inches. So I'm going to just draw a straight line. Then I'm also going to add ½ inch here, ½ inch. Then with my tracing wheel, I'm going to trace out the lines to the back. I'm going to trace out the lines. I'm going to trace out the dot line. And the hip line. And I'm going to cut out. So I don't need this on my front pattern. I'll just close it up or cut it out. Then I'm just quickly going to draw out the lines on my back pattern. And that line. So here I am having my front pattern. This is the front. And remember, when you're cutting the front, you're going to cut on fold. And you're going to add your sewing allowance and your hem allowance. And the back, I already added the zip allowance, this 1 inch, and the 3 inch for the vent slit. I'm also going to add my hemming allowance and my seam allowance on my fabric. So this is easy way of drafting your basic skirt pattern. I hope this is well said and explained.